So, one of the topics on the YouTube channel Triggered was essentially a discussion on the definition of beta, which, as they said, isn't a concept that really applies to pair bonding species such as humans in the same way that it does to tournament species such as wolves. But it is still the local colloquialism nonetheless, and it sounds way better than cuck or mangina or whatever. Anyway, the quick and easy answer for me anyway, because over there was something of a heated debate, is to say that a so-called beta is a man who is simpering and whiny and derives the entirety, or at least a good portion of it, of their self-worth from female approval. And honestly, I think that Ross guy from that show Friends is pretty much a really good example. Seriously, he was like half the reason I couldn't watch that show without wanting to go all SCTV on my television back in the 90s. Anyway, now I acknowledge that gynocentrism did a lot of good for our species, and it pretty much got us where we are today, but I'd argue that it did as much harm as it did good. And seriously, we're here now. We can move on. We can become something better, something greater. Men and women can move forward together as an actual team without treating women as helpless children and men as disposable utilities that exist only to dispense and absorb violence. To me, chivalry is incompatible with equality. It treats women as frail and weak and men as objects unworthy of compassion. Honestly, if some woman only wants me for my wallet and my so-called protection, then as far as I'm concerned, some random knuckle-dragging, meat-headed so-called alpha wannabe can freaking have her. And yeah, I think it's, quote, unfair that so many women want these so-called alpha males, but I honestly see no reason why I should have to change myself to please them. Essentially, I don't care. I am who I am, and I personally reject both the alpha and the beta labels. Now, not to drag religion into this, but I actually do believe in fairness, equity, and compassion in all human relations. Look it up. Anyway, and that counts for all people, between all people, especially in interpersonal relationships. So yeah, if someone can't like me for who I am, well then there really ain't no care bonus on my paycheck. And frankly, she might as well be careful as to not let the door hit her on the ass on the way out. As far as I'm concerned, I don't need a partner. I don't need female approval. It's like a bonus. That's really all it is. And yeah, sure, this is, quote, how the world works, but I say, be the change you want to see in the world. And that goes for both men and women. Now, let's take a moment to talk about white knights. To me, avoiding the white knighting behavior is super easy. When you see a woman with a problem, be it trivial or life-threatening, ask yourself one simple question. Would you help a man in that situation? Would you sacrifice the same way? Would you risk as much? Would you spend the same amount of time and money and effort if it was a man and not a woman? If not, then you might just be a white knight. You see, putting all women on a pedestal and treating all of them like some kind of higher power isn't progressive, it's regressive. And it's not going to earn you access to their JJs. But on the off chance that it does, they're just going to wake up one day, see you for what you are, and utterly destroy you both financially and emotionally. So my advice is this: treat women like human beings. That's it. They're not above you, and they're not below you, and more importantly, there isn't a single woman whose uterus is golden.